The envelope arrived like any other bill, slipped between the folds of junk mail and ignored for days. I only opened it out of habit, expecting the usual charges. But there it was, a number repeated over and over again on my wife's section of the phone plan. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, some anomaly, or perhaps a customer service line she'd been dealing with for work. But as I went through the pages, unease gnawed at me. The calls were long, the texts numerous, and they all occurred during times she claimed to be at the office, in meetings, or on late-night conference calls. The number was unfamiliar, and suddenly I felt a prickling sensation on the back of my neck. Something was wrong. I felt foolish for even thinking it. We had been married for years, and though things hadn't been perfect recently, I had never considered the possibility that she could be hiding something like this. My mind raced, and I had to push back the rising tide of paranoia. Yet, the dates and times, there was a pattern. The same evenings when she said she was working late, the same afternoons when she claimed to be swamped with deadlines. I tossed the bill on the table and grabbed my phone, staring at her name in my contacts. My thumb hovered over the call button, but I couldn't bring myself to ask her, not yet. I needed more than suspicion. I needed proof. The next few days were a blur. I told myself it was all in my head, but the more I thought about it, the less I could ignore the feeling of betrayal sinking in. I started checking her schedule more carefully, asking casual questions, paying attention to every word she said. Her answers never quite lined up. Always something slightly off. One evening, while she was at work, I finally broke down. I called the number. It rang twice before a man's voice answered. "Hello?" For a moment, I said nothing, listening to the silence between us. My pulse quickened. I felt like I had crossed a line, but I couldn't back out now. "Who is this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Who are you?" the man shot back, defensive. My grip tightened around the phone. "You've been calling and texting my wife. I want to know why." There was a pause, the kind that makes your heart sink. Then he hung up. I stared at the screen, anger flooding my veins. There was no denying it now, something was happening behind my back, and this man, whoever he was at the center of it. I couldn't just confront her, not yet. I needed to see it for myself. That weekend, I made my move. She told me she had a late-night project at the office, so I waited. Watched the clock tick slowly past dinner, past the time when she should have been home. My mind was racing with scenarios, each one worse than the last. Around midnight, I got in the car. I wasn't even sure what I was planning to do, drive to her office, maybe confront her there, ask her why she'd lied. But my instincts told me to go home, that the truth I was looking for was closer than I thought. The house was dark when I arrived, but her car was in the driveway. My breath caught in my throat. She wasn't at the office. The knot in my stomach twisted tighter as I crept toward the front door, quietly letting myself in. I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't need to. Voices drifted down the hallway from our bedroom, her voice, soft and familiar, followed by a low, male murmur that wasn't mine. My skin crawled with dread. Step by step, I moved closer, my heart pounding in my ears. I could hear them more clearly now, laughing softly, the sound of their intimacy slicing through the air like a blade. I stood at the doorway, staring into the dimly lit room. There she was, tangled in bed with him. It felt like the ground dropped out from under me, like reality had shifted into something I didn't recognize. My wife. My wife, with another man. I should have stormed in, screamed, done something. But I just stood there, frozen in place, unable to move. Horror, disgust, rage, they all collided inside me, a violent cocktail of emotions that left me paralyzed. Then, like a switch flipped, I turned on my heel and walked out. I didn't leave the house. No, I went to the living room and sat down, staring blankly ahead. The sound of their laughter, their whispered words, echoed through the walls. Every second was a fresh wound, but I didn't make a sound. It was then that my plan began to form. I wasn't going to yell, or fight, or even let her know I had seen them. No, I would do something much worse. I was going to make her pay, in ways she couldn't even imagine. I was going to destroy her life, just like she had destroyed mine. As I sat there in the dark, a strange calm settled over me. The fury was still there, simmering beneath the surface, but now it had a direction, a purpose. I wasn't going to confront her tonight, or tomorrow. I would let her believe she had gotten away with it. I would give her all the rope she needed to hang herself. Because once I was done, there would be no coming back. I had always trusted her, loved her. But that man in our bed had killed the part of me that cared. Now, all that was left was the cold, calculated desire for revenge. And I was going to make sure it was perfect. The next morning, sunlight filters through the blinds, casting striped shadows across the kitchen table. I sit there, sipping my coffee slowly, the bitterness matching the taste of betrayal lingering on my tongue. Every sound in the house feels amplified, her laughter from the bedroom, the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock counting down to my moment. I decide to act, but cautiously. Revenge requires precision, and impulsiveness could ruin everything. I need to gather more information, ensure that I understand the full extent of her betrayal before making my move. "Hey," I call out, trying to keep my voice casual as she enters the kitchen, her hair still tousled from sleep. "Did you sleep well?" She smiles, but there's a tension in her eyes that wasn't there before. "Yeah, I did." "How about you?" I nod, keeping my expression neutral. "Good, good. I was thinking of grabbing some groceries today." "Need anything?" She hesitates for a moment, then shakes her head. "No, I'm good. Maybe later." As she moves to get ready for work, I watch her, noting the slight tremor in her hands. My mind races with possibilities. She's hiding something, and I need to uncover it without tipping her off. That afternoon, I take out my laptop, pretending to work on some project in the home office. In reality, I'm scouring her social media profiles, looking for any clues. A few late-night posts about yoga classes and new recipes, nothing out of the ordinary. But then I find it, a check-in at a cafe she never mentioned visiting, time-stamped at 8 p.m., right when she said she was working late. My heart pounds. This is more evidence. I need to confront her, but not yet. I decide to install a tracking app on her phone, ensuring I can monitor her movements without her knowing. It's invasive, but the pain of betrayal justifies the means. That evening, as she prepares dinner, I watch her closely. The scent of garlic fills the air, and she hums a tune I used to love. It's surreal, seeing her like this, so ordinary yet so deceitful. "Everything okay?" I ask, leaning against the counter. She pauses, knife in hand, then smiles. "Yeah, just trying out a new recipe. You know I love experimenting in the kitchen." I nod, though my mind is elsewhere. Later, I wait until she's in the shower before sneaking into her phone, planting the tracking app. It's a small act of rebellion, but it feels empowering. Days pass, and the app begins to reveal her secret life. She meets him regularly, under the guise of business dinners and after-work drinks. Each location, each meeting, adds another layer to the intricate web of deceit she's spun. One night, I decide it's time to confront her directly. I prepare a dinner I know she loves, hoping to set a peaceful tone. The table is set with candles and soft music playing in the background. She enters, looking tired but content. "Wow, this looks amazing," she says, taking a seat. We eat in silence for a few minutes, the tension thick between us. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. "Can we talk?" I begin, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She looks up, concern flickering in her eyes. "Of course. What's wrong?" I place my fork down, meeting her gaze. "I found something. Your phone bill, calls and texts to a number I don't recognize, at times when you said you were busy with work." Her face tightens, a flicker of panic in her eyes. "I can explain." I need you to be honest with me, I press, my heart aching but my resolve unbroken.
Are you seeing someone else?
She takes a deep breath, her shoulders slumping. Yes. I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to happen. A mix of emotions floods me, hurt, anger, disbelief.
Why? Why would you do this to us?
Tears well up in her eyes. I didn't mean to. It just happened. I was lonely, stressed. I thought it was what I needed. I stand up, the chair scraping against the floor. You thought wrong. We were supposed to be a team. She reaches out, but I pull away. Please, let's work through this. We can go to counseling. I shake my head, feeling a cold determination settle over me. No, we can't. Trust is broken, and I can't fix what you've destroyed. She steps back, tears streaming down her face. Please, don't do this. But inside, my mind is already racing with plans. Divorce is just the beginning. She betrayed me, and now it's my turn to make her feel the pain she caused. As I walk away from the table, leaving her sobbing behind, I realize that this is only the start. My investigation has confirmed the worst fears, and now it's time to execute the revenge I've been meticulously planning. Every move will be calculated, every step designed to dismantle the life she thought she had built. The nights that follow are filled with strategizing. I secure our financial records, identify her vulnerabilities, and map out her daily routines. I enlist the help of a few trusted friends, those who owe me favors or share my disdain for deceit. Together, we begin to weave a plan that will ensure she faces the consequences of her actions. One evening, I receive a notification from the tracking app, she's meeting him again at the same cafe from her social media check-in. I show her the evidence, watching her reaction closely. She tries to deny it, but the proof is irrefutable. Fine, she admits, wiping her eyes. I messed up. I deserve whatever you decide. But I don't decide. I take control. Over the next few weeks, I methodically ruin her reputation. Anonymous tips to her workplace about her infidelity, social media posts exposing her lies, and manipulated evidence that paints her as the unfaithful one in every aspect of her life. Each act of sabotage is a small victory, a step closer to reclaiming my dignity. Yet, with every move, the line between justice and vengeance blurs. I start to lose myself, driven by the need to see her suffer as I have. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of watching her world crumble, becomes intoxicating. One night, as I sit alone in the dark, I realize that this path has consumed me. The man I once was is fading, replaced by someone I barely recognize. But there's no turning back now. The web I've spun is intricate, and I'm entangled in it just as deeply as she is. As I stare into the abyss of my own making, I understand that the true horror of betrayal isn't just in the infidelity itself, but in how it can destroy not just a relationship, but the very essence of who we are. And in my quest for retribution, I've become the monster I once despised. The story has just begun, and the shadows of our actions stretch far and wide. The lines are blurred, the motives complex, and the consequences inevitable. But one thing is certain, I will see this through to the end, no matter what it takes. The days blend into nights as I meticulously execute my plan. Each step is calculated, every move deliberate. The satisfaction of seeing her world unravel is intoxicating, yet a nagging doubt gnaws at the edges of my conscience. But the pain of her betrayal overshadows any remnants of hesitation. It's Thursday evening when I decide to escalate my actions. I've already sent anonymous tips to her workplace, hinting at her unfaithfulness. The responses have been mixed, some colleagues whisper behind her back, while others confront her directly. She's started to sense something is wrong, but she doesn't know who's behind it. I receive a message from one of my trusted friends, Mark. Meeting tonight? Got some info for you. I nod, feeling a surge of anticipation. Mark and I have a history, he owes me favors, and his connections are invaluable for my plan. We meet at our usual spot, a quiet bar that offers privacy amidst the clinking glasses and low hum of conversations. Mark slides into the seat across from me, a serious expression on his face. "I've been digging," he begins. "Your wife's been spending more time with that guy. I've got photos of them together at places you never knew she went." I lean in, my heart pounding. "Show me." Mark pulls out his phone, scrolling to a series of pictures. There they are, my wife and the other man laughing at a rooftop bar, dining at upscale restaurants, even attending a late-night concert. Each photo is timestamped, proving her lies about her whereabouts. "This is solid evidence," Mark says. "But we need to use it wisely. If she senses we're onto her, she might cover her tracks." I nod, a plan forming in my mind. I need to make sure this information gets out, but not back to her. I want her to think it's coming from someone else, someone she trusts. Mark smirks. "Leave that to me. I know just the people to help you spread the word discreetly." As Mark leaves, I feel a mix of exhilaration and dread. The dominoes are beginning to fall, and there's no turning back. That night, I sit alone in the dark, reviewing the photos and planning my next moves. She thinks she's safe, but every piece of evidence I've gathered is a step closer to dismantling her life. The following morning, I wake to the sound of her voice downstairs. She's preparing breakfast, humming the same tune from our early days together. The sight should comfort me, but instead, it fuels my determination. "Good morning," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. She turns, smiling warmly. "Morning. Did you sleep well?" I nod, though my mind is elsewhere. "Yeah, thanks." I watch her move about the kitchen, every gesture a reminder of the life we once had. But now, that life is crumbling, and I'm the architect of its destruction. Later that day, I receive another message from Mark. "Your wife's reputation is starting to take a hit. Rumors are spreading, and her colleagues are distancing themselves. Keep pushing." I smile, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Good. What's next?" Mark's reply is swift. "There's a big event coming up, a charity gala she's attending with him. It's the perfect stage to expose everything." I consider the opportunity. A public setting means maximum impact. "Set it up. I'll make sure everything goes smoothly." Weeks pass, and the tension builds. I continue to gather evidence, ensuring that every move I make leaves no trace back to me. The anonymous tips, the planted photos on social media, the manipulated conversations, all orchestrated to paint her in the worst possible light. Finally, the night of the gala arrives. It's a grand affair, filled with influential people and media presence. My wife arrives with the other man, unaware of the storm about to hit. I watch from the sidelines, heart racing. Mark meets me backstage, a reassuring presence amidst the chaos. "It's time," he whispers. "Let's make sure this night is unforgettable." I nod, steeling myself. As the evening progresses, I notice whispers and sideways glances directed at my wife. The guests are already sensing something is amiss. The media cameras begin to focus more intently on her, capturing every moment. Midway through the night, the master of ceremonies takes the stage. I've arranged for the timing, ensuring that just as she's about to give a speech, the truth comes out. "My apologies, everyone," the MC begins, his voice steady. "We have some unexpected news regarding one of our esteemed guests." The room falls silent, eyes turning towards me. I step forward, feeling the weight of every action I've taken leading to this moment. "My wife, Sarah," I announce, my voice clear and unwavering, "has been unfaithful. I have evidence to prove it." Gasps and murmurs ripple through the crowd. Cameras flash as I present the photos, the undeniable proof of her betrayal. She stands frozen, eyes wide with shock and fear, as the room erupts in chaos. She tries to speak, but no words come out. The other man steps forward, attempting to defend her, but the damage is done. Reputation shattered, relationships strained, and lives upended, all because of her deceit. As the night spirals out of control, I feel a sense of vindication. The years of trust and love have been replaced by a burning need for retribution. But amidst the triumph, a part of me wonders if I've gone too far. Later, as I stand alone outside the gala, the cool night air does little to calm my racing thoughts. She confronts me, tears streaming down her face. "Why?" she whispers, her voice trembling. "Why did you do all this?" I look into her eyes, seeing the pain I've caused. "Because you betrayed me. Because you thought you could have it all and throw away everything we built." She steps closer, reaching out for me. "I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen this way." I pull away, feeling a cold resolve settle over me. Sorry isn't enough. You broke our vows, our trust. Now you have to face the consequences. She collapses into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I watch as the person I once loved crumbles, realizing that my quest for revenge has not only destroyed her life, but also consumed my own. As I walk away into the night, the weight of my actions presses down on me. The web I've woven is intricate and tangled, ensnaring us both in its threads. The line between justice and vengeance has blurred, and I'm left questioning who the true villain is in this story of betrayal and retribution. The journey has only just begun, and the shadows of our actions stretch far deeper than I ever imagined. But one thing remains clear: I will see this through to the end, no matter the cost. The aftermath of the gala leaves me sleepless. The night was supposed to be my moment of triumph, the culmination of my meticulously crafted plan. Instead, it feels hollow, a victory tinged with the bitterness of what I've become. As I lie in bed, the silence of our home presses in on me, amplifying the weight of my actions. Morning arrives with a chill in the air, the sun casting long shadows across the living room where remnants of the previous night's chaos linger. I sip my coffee, staring blankly out the window, contemplating the path I've taken. The revelation at the gala was just the beginning, and I know there's no turning back now. A knock on the door breaks my reverie. I glance at the clock. It's early, too early for guests. Cautiously, I approach and peek through the peephole. It's Mark. I open the door, forcing a neutral expression. "Mark, what's up?" He steps inside, his face serious. "We need to talk." "It's about Sarah and him." I nod, leading him to the kitchen table where we can speak privately. "What did you find?" Mark sits down, pulling out his phone. After the gala, things escalated quickly. I did some more digging and found out that the man she's been seeing isn't just any guy. He's connected to some powerful people who won't take kindly to me ruining their reputations. A knot forms in my stomach. "What do you mean?" Mark hesitates, then continues. He's involved in some shady business deals, and Sarah has been a key player in laundering funds through her projects. Exposing her not only affects her, but could drag us all into legal troubles. I feel the ground shift beneath me. My quest for revenge was supposed to be personal, but now it threatens to spiral into something far more dangerous. "What do we do?" Mark leans forward, his eyes intense. "We need to cover our tracks and ensure that nothing ties back to us. If they come after us, we won't be able to defend ourselves." A surge of adrenaline courses through me. This was never part of the plan, but the stakes have just risen exponentially. "Help me destroy everything they have on us," I declare, the remnants of my former self surfacing through the haze of revenge. Days turn into nights as Mark and I work in secrecy, dismantling any evidence that could link us to the sabotage we've orchestrated. We erase digital footprints, manipulate records, and ensure that our actions remain hidden from those who seek to retaliate. But the deeper we dig, the more I realize the extent of Sarah's deception. It wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was a betrayal of trust on a much larger scale. Her involvement in illegal activities had consequences that reached far beyond our marriage, and now, inadvertently, they reach us. One evening, as I review the latest batch of documents we've destroyed, the door bursts open. A group of men storm in, their presence menacing and authoritative. My heart races as I recognize the look of menace in their eyes. "You're coming with us," one of them growls, stepping forward. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." I exchange a glance with Mark, who stands his ground despite the fear evident in his eyes. We haven't done anything, I protest, though I know it's futile. The men move swiftly, grabbing us by the arms and forcing us out of the house. We're driven to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, the air thick with tension and the scent of impending violence. Inside, the leader steps forward, his face hardened by years of ruthless dealings.
You thought you could play games with us and get away with it?
Sarah was indispensable, and now you've ruined everything. I square my shoulders, refusing to show fear.
I did what I had to do.
She betrayed me. He laughs, a cold, mirthless sound.
You think this is about betrayal?
It's about power, control. And now, you're in our way. Mark steps forward, desperation in his voice. Please, we can fix this. Let us go, and we'll disappear. A surge of adrenaline courses through his head. It's too late for that. He signals, and the room fills with a tense silence.
You wanted revenge?
Now you'll understand what it truly means. Before I can react, the men advance, their intentions clear. I brace myself, knowing that this is the end of the line. But just as the situation seems dire, a sudden explosion of chaos erupts. Sirens wail outside, and police lights flash through the broken windows. The room is plunged into pandemonium as law enforcement storms in, weapons drawn. In the confusion, I manage to break free, grabbing Mark's hand as we sprint towards an exit. Bullets ricochet off the walls, and shouts fill the air, but we push forward, adrenaline propelling us to safety. We burst out into the night, hearts pounding, as the police apprehend the assailants. Breathing heavily, we watch as the criminals are taken into custody. The unexpected intervention saved our lives, but the scars of what transpired remain. We find ourselves on the curb, shaken but alive, the reality of our situation sinking in. In the days that follow, the truth about Sarah's activities comes to light. Investigations reveal the depth of her involvement in illegal schemes, painting her not just as an unfaithful wife, but as a key player in a criminal network. The public backlash is swift and unforgiving, her reputation in ruins. As for Mark and me, the ordeal leaves us changed. The thin line between justice and vengeance has been irrevocably blurred, and the consequences of our actions weigh heavily on us. We part ways, unable to reconcile the hatred and pain that fueled our quest for retribution. The bonds of friendship and marriage, once strong, are now shattered beyond repair. One evening, standing alone by the river that runs through our town, I reflect on the journey that brought me here. The love that once defined me has been consumed by a relentless pursuit of vengeance, leaving behind a trail of destruction and regret. The shadows of betrayal linger, a constant reminder of the price paid for crossing that line. A final thought crosses my mind, a realization that in seeking to punish her, I lost a part of myself. The person I became is someone I scarcely recognize, driven by hatred and a need for retribution that has left no room for healing or forgiveness. As the sun sets, casting a crimson hue over the water, I make peace with the fact that our lives will never intersect again. The love we once shared is irreparably broken, and the path we chose has led us to eternal separation. The story of betrayal and revenge concludes not with triumph, but with the haunting understanding that some wounds run too deep to ever truly heal. In the end, the true deception wasn't just Sarah's infidelity, it was the transformation of love into something dark and unforgiving. And as I walk away from the riverbank, I carry with me the heavy burden of what once was and what can never be again.